So we will continue with our course about databases with PHP 5. So before starting this session, I will ask you some questions to review all the topics covered in face-to-face class. So my first question is about this instruction. So what is MySQLi Connect? Why we use MySQLi Connect? Yes, MySQLi is an extension, so it is MySQLi is an extension from the ground up to support the new features of MySQL, and the improvement from the old MySQL extension include the following: native band, cursor support, SQL error codes, etc. So in PHP, if we want to create a connection with a database, so we use MySQLi Connect. So this is predefined instruction or function. So we will use connect with MySQLi, and after that we have to specify some arguments. So if we write localhost, what's the meaning of localhost? Localhost. Yes, that means local computer. That means the MySQL server, our database server, in our case is MySQL, is in the same machine. Okay. For this reason, we write localhost. After that, test represents, what represents test? Yes, username. The login to this server, and empty string here. What represents this empty string? The password. Good. And word, the name of our database. So to create a connection to a database, we can use MySQLi Connect. After that, we specify the IP address of the database server, the login, the password, and the name of our database. It's clear? So this function return con. So con in our case is a variable that represents, the variable con represents not database name. Yes, the connection to the database. So con represents the connection to the database. After that, we will use, so we can also use an oriented object manner. So in this case, we will create an object MySQLi. Okay, so new MySQLi is an object-oriented interface, and after that we will specify the same parameters like the procedural manner. So the connection created here will be used to send a query to our database server. So if we want to send a query to our database server, we use this variable con, after that minus greater, After that, the keyword query. So this is a keyword, is a method. This is a predefined keyword. Query is a predefined keyword. And after that, we write a select name from city. So select name from city is, what is select name from city? Yes, is a query, an SQL query. Yes, we want to select all the name from city. What is city here? City. Yes, is a table in the database word. So city is a table from database word. So after that, we can process the result. So in our case here, result is a variable. This is a variable result. And this result contains many rows and contains the result of what? The result of what? Yes, the result of the query. So in the result, in this example, we will find all the names that exist in the city table. So if we want to process this result, we can use fetch row. So fetch row here is a method. It is used to extract row by row the row from result row by row. Okay, the first row, the second one, the third one, etc. So when we write while row equal result minus greater fetch row, that means we will extract row by row the result. So here row 0, what represents row 0? When we write print row 0, yes, the first item, because here we have row, another row. So how many columns in our case? How many columns? Only one. Why? Because we will select only name. Okay, so name here, that means row 0. Because we have only column. So row 0, that means the first column of our row. So row 0, that means the first column of our row. If, for example, we write select name, comma, department from city. In this case, row 0 refers name and row 1 refers department. It's clear? Good. So to extract rows from the result, there are many manners. So we can use the manners. Here, when we specify my SQLi use result, what's the meaning of this parameter? So when we write result equal conquery, select name from city, and after that comma, my SQLi use result. What's the meaning of this parameter? Yes, good. That means this query is an unbuffered query. Not buffered, an unbuffered, yes. No, not buffered. Unbuffered. That means we will not store the data. Yes, unbuffered. Unbuffered result set here. To use unbuffered result set, we have to specify the optional parameter, my SQLi use result. I return to your question, Mr. Ahmed. Fetch row here indicates first one. No. I will explain you with just a moment. I need to connect my tablet. So if we write here result equal connection query, and here we write select name department from city. So the result here, result will be like this. Name, department, for example, A, computer science, B, health, C, law, etc. Okay? So if we write fetch row, so if we write row equal result, after that fetch row, in this case the row and the first will be here. After that the row will be here. After that the row will be here. So here we will use while we can find a row like this. So in the first iteration row will be the blue one, and the second iteration row will be the red one, and the third iteration row will be the green one. So $row 0 that means the first column, and $1, that means the second column. So in the first iteration, $0, the value is A. In the first iteration also, $1, the value is computer science. In the second iteration, $0, the value is B. And $1, the value is health. In the third iteration, $0, the value is C. And $1, the value is low. It's clear for you, Mr. Ahmed? Welcome. So we can use row 0, row 1, row 2, row 3, etc. if we use fetch row here. Fetch row, we will use 0, 1, so 0, 1. Why? Because we have only name and department. So for the name is 0, for the department is 1. There are other manners to process the result. So we can use fetch associative. This is one. So in this case, we will use row last name and row age. So in our case, last name and age. It's clear for you the second manner? $S. That means we will print the value of row last name as a string. Any questions? It's clear the second manner for you? Okay, let's move to the third manner. So the third manner is fetch object. So in this case, we will use obj last name, obj age like this. So there are three manners to process the result. We can use fetch row or fetch assoc or fetch object. Okay, let's move now to prepared statement. Why we use prepared statement in PHP 5? So the question is, yes, to prevent SQL injection. Good. So to prevent SQL injection, we use prepared statement. It's clear. And in the PHP, prepared statement is created with the function prepare. So prepare is used to create prepared statement. And here we will use this interrogation marks, and this is an example that explain how we can use prepared statement. Let's move now to the errors. So there are two types of errors. Can you give me these types in the programming? We can find two types of errors. Runtime, syntax, yes. So syntax error or an error when we execute our code. So let's begin with programming error. this code is in PHP code and there is an error here. What is this error? Yes, this is the error. So in PHP code, we cannot find a tag like this. Yes. So this example contains an XML tag where PHP expects to find code. So running this results in error. So when we run this PHP code, we will find an error like this, parse error. Parse error in test PHP on line 4. This is line 4. It's clear for you this error, it is a parse error. Good. So how we can avoid this problem of this error? So we can use eval. Eval is used to avoid this problem. So all syntax of parse error are caught during compilation, except error in code executed with eval. So eval, that means this code will be evaluated during execution. The code is compiled during the execution of the script. Yes. So the difference between the previous example and this one here, we will execute hello, print hello, so we will find hello. After that, there is a parse error. So this is a runtime error. So the difference is we can execute now our code. And the previous code cannot be executed. Yes, so we will execute the correct part, and when we find an error, this error will be displayed. In the previous one, we cannot find hello here. Here we cannot find hello. This is the difference between the first error and the second one. So eval, avoid the problem. The code is compiled during the execution of the script. Let's move now to another eval. That means we will execute this code during the execution of the script. So if we don't write eval, in this case we will find the error directly in the compilation. Yes, eval used to parse and execute code and at runtime. Let's move now to another type of error, include and require. So this is a file, the first file, error2.php in yellow, and we have another file in in red, error 3.php. Okay, so in this file we write require error 2.php. Require error 2.php. That means we will use the file error 2.php. So in this case we will find, this is the first step, function FOO, print FOO. After that we will find this is an error. When we find an error, we will return to error 3.php and we will continue. So if we will continue, we find the first call is FOO, so we will execute FOO. After that, another call to bar function, but we cannot find bar function. Why? Because the execution of error 2.php is stopped by this error. So this error stops the execution of error 2.php. So we will find error like this. This is the error of find it in PHP code, in error to PHP. After that, we will find hello. After that, the execution of FOO. After that, the error call to undefined function bar. So in our example, I will underline the instruction. So the first one in green is this error. After that, the second, we will print hello. The third one, we will call FOO, so we will print FOO. And the fourth, we will call to bar, and in this case, we will find another error. So 1 is error, 2 we will print hello, 3 we will print FOO, 4 is an error. So this is the first error, 2 is printing hello, 3 printing FOO, and 4 another error, call to undefined function bar. It's clear, this example for you? Any questions? Okay. Let's move to another type of error, undefined symbols. So in PHP, if we have a variable or a constant that are undefined, in this case, what are the possible errors found in PHP? So this is our code. var dumps information about a variable. So in the first instruction here, we will use an undefined variable. And in the second instruction, we will use an undefined constant. Okay? So the output will be the first one, undefined variable. Undefined variable. And the second one, we will use undefined constant as a constant. After that, we will print still a leaf. So undefined variable will be assumed as null. Undefined function will be assumed as undefined constant will be assumed as the value of undefined constant, and after that we will print still a leaf, a life. Other type of errors, undefined symbols. So if we write, for example, if get name, print hello get name. What's the meaning of this instruction? Get name. Yes, is not from database. Yes, good. That means we have a get request. Our request is get. Our request is a get request. So in this request, we want to find a variable name and to get the value. For example, if our request is http exercise.1.php, after that name equal Muhammad. So get name here, that means we want to get the value of the variable name. Okay, yes. So if the page serving the script is requested without any get parameters, so if we have no parameters in our request, in this case, this code will display undefined index name as an error. So this code will display an error undefined index name. So we cannot find index name in the get. It's clear? Any questions? Good. Yes, the name not appeared in the link, yes. Let's move now to another type, undefined symbols, function and classes. So if we call an undefined function like this, or we call undefined class, undefined function or undefined class, we will find fatal error call to undefined function. Also fatal error call to undefined class. So undefined function and undefined class give us fatal error. It's clear? Okay. Another type of programming error is a logical error. Error that are in the structure and logic of the code rather than just the syntax. So the best ways to find logical errors is testing combined with code reviews. So we can find also logical errors. Yes, this is a logical error. Also, we can find portability errors. For example, operating system differences, or PHP configuration differences, or server API differences. So these differences can cause a portability errors. So we can find logical errors, we can find portability errors, and we can find other errors like undefined symbols, functions, constant, variables, etc. So for runtime errors, we can find e-error and e-warning. For the first one, it is a fatal and recovered error. For example, out of memory error. For e-warning, this is the most common type of error. It normally signals that something you tried doing went wrong. Typical examples are missing function parameters, a database you could not connect to, or devising by zero. So devising by zero is an e-warning runtime error. Any questions? So logical, that means, for example, you want to make tree to sort an array, and after that, when we execute our code, the array is not sorted. So there is a logical error, a problem in your code, in your structure, in your if-then, etc. This is the mean of logical error. So select record that not exist is like this error. This is error and defined sample error. So for you, keep in the mind that there are many types of error. We can find portability errors. We can find runtime errors. In PHP, the runtime errors, we can find two types, e-error and e-warning. So error reporting several PHP.ini configuration settings control which error should be displayed and etc. So we can display this error to give a solution to this error. Just I want to save the attendance. Okay, thank you for your attendance, and see you next week, inshallah.